And hello and welcome back to the Rainbow Pitch League Season 2. We're here with some Week 4 action, and we have a bounty game, as we have Yuki Lee Bender on Zen on the left, being our bounty, and our hunter, May Collett, on the right, playing as Azalea. As per usual, I'm joined by Elaine. Hello, welcome.
Hello, Kiki. How are you doing today?
I am stumbling. But who isn't stumbling is our sponsors for this week. This week we have a plethora of supporters from both within and outside of our community. So this week our sponsors are Kale, or Dead Summer Art, you might know, of famous fab lore kind of stuff. We have Andy Portillo, who's given us a whole bunch of Rainbow Pitch League stickers and pins and playmats to give out throughout this event. We have Laboratorium, of course, once again giving out more prizes and really showing out for Flesh and Blood in Spain. And then we have our very own Rachel Stoddard, Max Ferocity, bringing out some special LSS gifts to give out this week.
Yeah, that is super exciting. Thank you to all of our sponsors. You make the league you make the league better than we could alone, honestly. So we are very thankful for you. It's always exciting too. We do like weekly giveaways for everyone in the league with this big wheel of names, and I think it's one of my favorite parts of the week, as well as our players' favorite part of the week. But yeah, thank you to our sponsors.
For sure. I'm sure everyone loves receiving free stuff, and yeah, it really just shows how much our community supports each other, both within and without. Um, a not very supportive thing to do is to play a Warmonger's Diplomacy against your Azalea opponent on turn 0, however. So here we have Yuki playing the Warmonger's Diplomacy. We're going to see an activation of the Quiver, just to kind of pitch some cards and maybe get some value on this turn 0, which you wouldn't normally be able to do anyway. We're pitching a couple cards here. Looks like a red and a Knock the Death Whistle, and we've revealed a non-arrow on top. So we're not getting an arrow into Arsenal this turn.
Oop.
No.
That's... And we're going to get, looks like just an Arsenal pass from Yuki. Definitely not a bad turn zero, I
Oh,
would say.
if I saw that Arsenal correctly, that might have been an Art of War that Yuki's placed in her arsenal.
Oh, I completely missed it. So that would be quite spicy if you are if you are correct.
It was just a quick flip, so anything could have happened there. And we are going back to May's turn. I can only assume both players have chosen war on this diplomacy. They're going to be very aggressive. But of course, it is going to stop May from playing any non-attack actions this turn.
Yeah, I would assume that both players have chose war as well. That would make the most sense to me. It does. Yeah, I believe. Oh, that did look like an art of war, but it also looks like there's an art of war in Yuki's hand as well that I just saw. Oh,
We could be seeing the famed double Art of War turn. Here we're getting the life totals put up for ease of use. Of course, when they played the game, they didn't have the lovely frame that we have saying the life totals, so this is going to be for the players' benefits. But here we see the Art of War from hand. Looks like May chose to simply just Arsenal and pass on her turn. And we're putting a +1 to represent the damage bonus from Art of Wars here. Just to really emphasize that it's +1
and
damage. And we see the first bonds being banished to draw 2 cards here. That's also a blue, so this signifies that maybe Yuki has another bonds in hand already, or another means to get a bonds.
yep, I'm sorry, my cat is climbing all over me. It's quite distracting.
It's okay, my attention was also captured by your cat just then.
It's quite distracting. He is being very needy right now. But anyway, so we've got the banish on the bonds, as you said, a blue bonds. It looks like draw 2. I imagine that this is going to take some. Yuki's going to take some time to think here. This is
Mm-hmm.
turn 2, but this is Art of War turn 5. I mean, sorry, Zen. Wrong ninja. Okay, there goes the second Art of War. So we were correct. That was an Art of War, double Art of War. Looks like we're gonna choose banish, draw 2 again, banishing an E strike, and I'd imagine that Yuki is going to choose +1 on this Art of War also. But there's no dice representation right now, so it's hard to tell.
Here we can see the damage. This is 5, so it is just the +1. My assumption at this point is that maybe Yuki didn't have a go again attack and therefore chose go again with the second Art of War, in the chance that she wasn't able to draw a go again attack. No, never mind. That dice is on 6. Okay. I take that back.
Yeah.
We've got +2 on the
Okay.
Art of War. Just that dice wasn't moved on the first one. That's okay. There's a spinning wheel kick, I think his name is. It's just kind of like tap with combo, is how I know this card as. And it's done a great job of dealing 6 damage over to May's side. 3 cards still in hand. There crucially hasn't been a blue card played this turn, so far there's no transcending on this turn. And we've just pitched another one, and we've also banished one. And we're getting some needles coming in for 2. And the needle's a super exciting addition to this sort of deck, where you're kind of prizing your opponent into like making them forced to block it, because it's so tempting. For those who don't know what the needle does, it is a 2-power weapon, and if it gets defended by a card with 3 or more defense, or a higher defense than its attack rather, then it gets destroyed at the end of the combat chain. But May just doesn't even want to block here. Yuki's just playing out her entire hand. There's no real synergies other than the fact that these are attacks with go again. And they're getting big, and May's just happily given up no cards this turn and is going to give up the new helmet. If I could remember the name, that'd be great. But this is the one that you could sacrifice to draw a card if your opponent has drawn 2 or more cards.
Yeah, I mean, that is Balance of Justice, I believe, is the name of
Yes.
that helmet piece. But you also, from May's standpoint, I mean, May just went down to 22 life on turn 2. We can expect something to come back big here. But as someone who's sitting in May's seat, you have to feel a little bit comfortable that you just survived a double Art of War turn from Zen with, like you said, no real synergy besides the fact that those were just go again attacks. So those 2 Art of Wars, you got to be feeling a little bit happy that those were out of the way. You went to 22 damage, yes, but I mean, 22 damage in this race, if you can throw something back really big, you can still close the gap quite efficiently. This is quite, what is this? A lace with inertia, lace with blood rot, remorseless, knock the deck with. I mean, this is exactly the type of thing you want to throw back at Yuki after surviving a double Art of War turn. You kind of, 2 Art of Wars are already gone. Sitting at an advantage there feels pretty good.
For sure. And like one thing that's really key to note here is that like Zeno's really good at throwing their fridge, quote unquote, to stop powerful on hits, like a Red than the Legend normally. Like, you'd kind of be okay in this position because you know you're going to get your Tiger and you're going to get your Transcend card from the Traverse. But Yuki hasn't transcended this game yet. If she blocks with her headpiece, there's no additional value there. And May is 1000% aware of this and is just ready to take all that damage, knowing there was no Transcend cards, and come back with this massive attack that is going to hit and not give Yuki any sort of value here. And Red of the Ledger is one of the best cards you can have against them because you can only play one action if this does a single point of damage to you at minimum.
Yeah, I mean, and really good point with the Traverse as well. If you put Yuki in a position to use that headpiece, yeah, you've completely taken away all the beauty in that headpiece. But Yuki is just,
Just content to block with one card as per the
yep.
rules of dominating. And May is giving a whole bunch of gifts to Yuki. Maybe gifts Yuki doesn't necessarily want, but there's a Blood Rot and an Inertia, and a Ponder from May.
As per
And here we're seeing one of the most efficient one action plays we've seen since the dawn of time. This is Enlightened Strike for 7, with a card to go in Arsenal afterwards. Well, most likely going to Arsenal. Yuki could pay for the Blood Rot, potentially.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's an inertia token,
Oh,
so
yeah, of course, yeah. In that case,
right.
most likely paying for this.
Most likely paying. Yep, paying for the
There
blood
we go.
rot. Oh wow, with the double E strike hand.
Did we just see Red Strike and Blue Strike in the same hand?
Right, red E strike and blue E strike in the same hand. Wow. Okay, so um, May is happy to take the damage and send back. We're opening with a read the glide path, a red read the glide path, right? So this is gonna let May opt one.
Mm-hmm.
Potentially, yep, as coming in with another dominated attack. You see that there's an I actually don't know what that is.
That one isn't an attack, it's
I
a
can't.
buff. That one is the one
I was
that's
I
kind of
can't
like
tell what
inertia.
that is.
It's the one that destroys the hand or an arsenal at the end of turn. I
Okay,
should know
okay,
names.
okay.
It's another +3. Crucially, it wasn't an arrow. But what you'll notice about that Read the Glide path is that May isn't playing the Skullbone cross wrap, so a lot of the times her Azalea activations will be blind if she chooses to, or in this case, she uses the Read the Glide path to kind of get an idea, and she knows that she already has the arrow, or by the Codex of Frailty we're seeing just now, so she knows that she's happy to just get more buffs into play, doesn't need more arrows on top, doesn't need the Dominate. Especially because, again, there's been no Transcend card still from Yuki's side. So if she wants to block with that Traverse, there's no extra value. Seek and Destroy is the name of the non-attack action that was placed off the top.
That is seek and destroy. I think you're right. It's the art on it is so dark, but I do think that you're right.
There's a bit of glare going on the
Yeah, there's a bit
right
of the
hand
bit
side.
of the glare.
So Yuki's just deciding which card she wants to take from her graveyard discard pile and put it into the arsenal. She didn't arsenal a card last turn, and kind of like Zen doesn't do the arsenals too well. Well, especially after the inertia, specifically.
So especially with an inertia ticket, I mean token,
Mm-hmm.
unless you have like an inertia and a ponder, it's a little.
Mm-hmm. That's a beautiful, beautiful line though. When you're able to like get the ponder token after being given an inertia. Um, shout outs to Prism.
Yeah, I mean, I like to reserve my ponder token first, resolve that first personally. I'm joking. That's a joke. That's a joke. That's a joke. You
I,
always resolve inertia first.
I wasn't going to question you. I'm like, something's not right here, but I'm not going to call you out on
Hey,
straight.
Eli doesn't know how to play this game.
You know who does know how to play this
Uh,
game? Yuki and May.
Yuki Libra, yeah. Yuki and May know how to play this game. They're definitely showing it here. I love when I love watching players do this, right? You kind of put down a card face down, remove it from your hand so you can really look at, okay, what would my hand look like if this was the card that I chose to block with? Go through a few different lines here, and that's what we're seeing Yuki do.
Mm-hmm. The other good thing about it
Ooh.
is that it reveals no information. The sheer number of people I've
Yep.
seen who've like been like, "Oh, I'm gonna block with this," but I'm still thinking on blocks, and they put the card face up. I just like, okay, now you've given me extra stuff. But we have discarded another transcend card. We are just not transcending this game, and that looks to be another red in the ledger.
It does look to be another red in the ledger.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Got a huge amount of damage here. This one doesn't have dominate, but with only 3 cards in hand, it's gonna hit. I feel like we've seen this turn before. We're gonna see another E strike as the one action for the turn.
I do think that's the most like efficient thing for Yuki to do in this situation. Probably,
Mm-hmm.
it's oh
Or
Warmongers are warmongers. I mean, that is another way to kind of try and gain
get the
back
tempo
some
back.
tempo here.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like, Yuki's been on the back foot ever since that one big turn where she did 18 functionally vanilla damage. Like, no on hits, nothing disruptive. May's just come out swinging with big on hit attacks. Like, a lot of tokens kind of scattering across the board and making things a bit difficult for Yuki. And disrupting that arsenal has been super powerful. Yuki's just lost an E-Strike because of all of this sort of disruption. But with
Yeah.
May's turn, just going to be an arrow. Or maybe 2 arrows. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and seeing the way that May so far has just taken damage to send back these massive attacks, sometimes dominated with tons of on hits, as you said, like
Mm-hmm.
it is probably smarter here for Yuki to play the Warmongers to get some actual disruption rather than just damage with the E strike.
Mm-hmm. And here we're seeing Yuki ask May how many cards are in hand, because what we haven't seen so far is a Rain Razors. And we've just got this Bolton shot. Famously, that gains go again, um, and on hit reload if the power is greater than its base. So here we're sort of seeing like, are we going to get a second arrow here? How much does Yuki need to block to stop this reload? Or is May just kind of bluffing this with the Snapdragon Scalers at the back to try to just push this damage through? So here we're doing the thinking on blocks, blocking with a card for now. Not fully committing to it just yet. Just thinking about it. Oh, there we go. There's the block for 3. And there's a second. A
This is
second?
second bonds.
Yeah.
Red bonds again. We should say that red bonds is legal here in the Rainbow Pitch League because the league commenced before that ban announcement came out. So we did not make players change their deck list mid tournament. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, red bonds is legal. Sorry, all the bonds colors are legal. We've only seen the reds so far. All of the bonds are legal.
Yeah,
So I think it's important to point that out.
for sure. Yeah, we're making all of our contestants still suffer through Bonds of Ancestry Summer, I guess.
Bonds of Ancestry Summer.
And there we go. We did get the not Razor Reflex, the Rain Razors. And we have a Drill Shot coming in for 6 now because of those Rain Razors. And this is a super frustrating equipment to kind of deal with, or weapon to deal with. Well, attack. A super frustrating attack to deal with, as it puts a -1 counter on your equipment if it hits. And again, I'm going to reiterate that Yuki hasn't been able to get the full value off of her equipment just yet. And it's going to be harder to get full value if they're sitting there with -1 counters defending for less. May really feels like she's in the driver's seat at this point.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, even with the warmongers and some disruption here, you still managed to strip 3 cards out of Yuki's hand this turn.
Mm-hmm.
Which,
Oh,
oh,
there
now we're
might
gonna
be
see the
more.
snapdragons.
There's the
Oh
Snapdragon
gosh!
Scalers, and of course you can still activate the Death Dealer through a Warmongers because it is a weapon action,
Right.
even through War. So we're getting a 3-arrow attack on this Rain Razor's turn. That's absolutely massive.
Yeah.
And this is a Remorseless. This is just a 1-cost 7. I don't think the on hit's going to come into play. I don't think Yuki's going to be playing too many actions during her turn.
I cannot imagine. Yeah. 7 is still pretty big. Yuki down to 7 life. I mean, what? Like, what? We're just gonna get a draw up and Arsenal, draw up and pass from Yuki's hand, but yeah, I mean, what an ideal turn for a warmonger's turn.
Mm-hmm.
To get three arrow attacks, get your opponent down to 7 life, um, and have the rain razors as well. So all the answers that May needed.
We haven't seen a +6 Rain Razors for a very long time. It was very commonplace back in the day when Lexi was the dominant deck, but Azalea has to put in a bit more work to make it happen.
Yeah.
And we're seeing another
Read the glide path.
Raid the Glide Path. I was like, glide the red path? That's not right. Um,
Read the glide path.
read the glide path. We're putting it to the bottom, and we're getting another red in the ledger.
That is a lace with inertia.
hmm So we're coming in for just 11 here. Just 11. We still have all this equipment we can block with. Vanilla blocks with the defensive equipment, maybe, perhaps, here. Fun fact about May, just while we're pondering the defense here. Fun fact, she's the one who knocked me out of top 8 in Nationals 2 years ago.
Oh.
Yep, so she's the reason why I came ninth last year. Oh, sorry, yeah, last year. But then this year I
Last
beat
year.
her and I finished ninth again, so.
I would say, yeah.
This year I beat her, last year I didn't. Either way, I still finished ninth.
So there's a little bit of a rivalry, a vendetta, or some friendly competition.
It definitely feels like friendly competition. It's really wholesome after every game. We just like
I would have said.
we don't do the usual handshake. No, no, no. We like get up from the table and it's an emotional hug knowing that we've knocked somebody out of the top 8.
You're both crying by the end of the game in tears. Yeah.
You never want to, team kill, quote unquote, your teammates, but
Right, right. Of
if it
course not.
means if it means I get ninth, then it's what I'm gonna do. So we've finally confirmed the block here. This is for 3. This is lethal currently. I think Yuki needs to put a bit more in there, or I can't do math. And either is a very realistic option.
The last game that we commentated together, you proved that you can, in fact, do math, Kiki, with all the quick numbers, the probability.
I've been refraining this time. And there we go. We're seeing the full equipment
Full
suite block
equipment.
there.
Wow.
How much we got there? 7 plus 3? Yeah, so we're blocking. We're defending for 10 here. We're getting the token, and I'm pretty sure Yuki's going to look through a deck and remember that there is no Transcend cards in that deck. Or rather, there's no Transcended cards. No inner chi to be searched for.
Unless she forgot to DG. Which,
That would be bold. You have an entire week to DG.
You have a whole week to DG. Sorry, I forgot.
And we're getting the defensive art of war.
The defensive art of war. Banish the tiger and will.
And this is how we're getting to 11 defense. And May
it looks like a Japanese crouching tiger. Sorry.
Oh, it does. Yeah, no, the name is a lot shorter in terms of length.
Yeah.
Yep. This is how international we are here at the Rainbow Pitch League. Our cards aren't in the same language. But we all speak the language of great games. Okay, so we have defended out that red in the ledger. Yuki is going to be able to play more than one thing this turn, and has a 3-card hand, I believe? Yeah.
Yeah, 3-card hand, 1 in arsenal. So, I mean, we're expecting something kind of big here from Yuki, with the life totals so low from both players. At least I would imagine that Yuki's going to try and close the gap, at the very least with this turn, especially seeing all the equipment used.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm, without doing too much actual math and possibilities of what could happen, I feel like 15 damage is going to be a hard sort of point for Yuki to reach. 16 if you include the arm piece, and 17 if you include the tunic. This is going to be a pretty big hit if it hits, and it does not. Oh my goodness.
Ooh.
That was not a combo card off the top. We are not drawing a card. But combo text will also get +1 this turn, but we are down to a small number of cards here. And yeah, you have to deal 17 damage if you want to start taking cards from May's hand. I don't even think 15 is going to be an option. And that tunic is going to 3 next turn, I think. And we're just going to have access to everything to come back at Yuki.
Yep, I think Yuki's definitely... I think closing the gap here is the most that Yuki can kind of hope for. See what she can put out. Looks like she's looking through her graveyard, trying to say, what do I have left? All three Artivores are gone because we saw one played defensively and two played that very, really the very first attack turn that we saw, turn two from Yuki.
Here we go. We're seeing what combo cards were left on the deck as we are finally transcending here. This one is the one that lets you draw a card and put a card on the bottom. Again, names are not my forte. But this is going to be able to search for combo pieces, which will still get the +1 from the Ancestral Empowerment? So is that the first one? The Ancestral Combo bonus thing.
Very specific.
Yeah. It's a 0 cost, 3 defense, flips the top card of your deck. If it's combo, you get to put it in banish and play it this turn, and it gives you combo attacks +1, and the first word in the name is Ancestral.
It's Ancestral Harmony.
Harmony. That was your fable clue. Like, just fill in the gap for
me. We should do this every day.
We really should. You'd think after like 5 weeks of this would be, at least I would be more onto it than looking at the deck lists the day of. But I mean, 4 weeks. 4 weeks of this, not 5.
Week 4, yeah.
This is week. Yeah, this is week 4 action. We're definitely not behind.
I can't believe it's been 4 weeks already, though. It's okay.
Yeah. No, for real. It's been wild to think that we're halfway through the league. This is literally the midpoint of the league at this point. Week 4 of 7 before the top 8. So we have a Descendant Gustwave there coming in for, I think it was 2 damage. Yeah, it looks like 2 damage. And we're getting the Zen activation. So this is how we end up getting a lot more damage, right? We're going to chain bonds back to back to back, hopefully. But not really possible when there's no other cards available to Yuki outside of a Tiger. So we're not going to see back-to-back bonds turns. We might just see some sort of like plus X damage kind of thing. Oh, there we go. Yeah. So again, another card I can't remember the name of, but it's a 1 cost, 5 damage, defend for 3 red. And if Tiger combo, it deals 1 damage on hit. Specifically not arcane damage. It's not preventable by arcane barrier. Not that we have that, but it's not arcane damage. It's just damage.
I believe it's Mauling Chi?
Mauling Chi? Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should have just stuck with my gut. I was going to say it, I'm like, no. But it's okay, we're just playing IRL Fable. We're good.
We're just playing IRL. Yeah.
And here we go. This is coming for 6 damage with a potential +1 coming in. And May is going to have to commit a card to this. This was exactly the kind of turn Yuki needed here to close the gap. If she was just able to hit an additional combo card off the top as well, like if there was another Descendant off the top, like this turn would have been disgusting, as opposed to quite very good at keeping you in the game still.
Yeah, I mean, I think like we said before, Yuki started really going off here. That closing the gap is definitely what you're aiming for with a 3-card hand. It's kind of the best Yuki has done efficiently and taken a
card from hand.
A card from hand.
And May's been very restrained to not try to destroy any of the needles. Of course, to destroy the needles, she would have to commit an actual arrow, so maybe it's come to the point where she hasn't had enough arrows to kind of stop the needles, which was a great call by Yuki to be playing them into this matchup. But it's still a tough position from here. May's on 2, but has full tempo with the Tunic here, and with an arsenal, and will most likely be forcing cards out of Yuki's hand with no equipment remaining. And Lace with Bloodrot is a great way to start forcing cards out of hand. And here's a Bolden Shot for 7 with the Bloodrot on hit with Go again. Oh my goodness, this is lethal. This is currently presenting the game.
Right, this is lethal, and if it hits at all, you're still staring down lethal, right? Because of that Blood Rod.
And because it's 7 as well, like, there's still two cards in May's hand. Like, the reload could be relevant here, still, at this point. And just, you don't really want to commit three cards to this either. Like, this is just so unpleasant for Yuki right now.
Yeah, seven when you're seven. This is a tough position. Seven with that blood rot pox. It represents so much because, like you said, three cards. You have no equipment left, but if you let any of it come through, you're going to be staring down that blood rot pox at the end of your turn, which is not fun when life totals are this low. So we do get three cards. Now the scary part is what's coming after this.
Yeah, nothing. Right, nothing? Just cleaning up the combat chain. We're using the
Yeah,
tunic to activate the Death Dealer here.
Death
Just,
Dealer.
that's so good. You're just going up a card functionally. And there's a
Oh my
Remorseless.
gosh.
There's only one card in Yuki's hand. We just need a couple of pumps and we are good to go. Oh, that's a pretty good one.
Well, that's well, that's a good one.
This is 8 coming in for 5. We're going to get the Ponder token. Yuki's going to have no cards in hand to come back. And we are tied at 2 apiece. It's going to be pretty hard for Yuki to come back into this. You don't even really need the Dominate anymore at this point. There's a lot of cards that don't block in Zen or block for 2. You just need to keep on throwing haymakers at your opponent, and you'll be okay if you were May.
So at this point, we've seen life totals are low, like you said. It's you just kind of have to keep throwing these attacks at Yuki. But at this point, we've seen a lot of steam come out of May's deck. I believe that's the last knock the death whistle. I think we've seen all the premeditates. We've seen lace with blood rot, lace with inertia. We've seen all these things multiple times. So we've seen one rain razor, which I'm not sure how many rain razors Yuki might be thinking that May's on if she's just running one for some spice or running all three. But what are some things that cards that Yuki's thinking will still be in May's deck that she should be worried about?
Of course, there's the other 2 copies of Rain Razors, potentially. Like, that card's usually seen as a 3 of. I haven't actually checked the numbers on deck lists.
Right.
But for the most part, a lot of Azalea's cards are kind of the same. Like, you have your arrows that are above right weapon, or above right attacks, and you have your buffs to buff those attacks. So literally anything's kind of scary here. We're seeing the activation of the gloves for the first time on camera in this league. You put 2 cards from your hand
Yep.
or arsenal on the bottom of your deck, and your next arrow gains +4. So this is a great way to not even need buffs, essentially, to play, because we have gotten plus a billion damage roughly with Dominate here, with no cards in arsenal to defend with, no equipment to defend with, and that looks to be the game. So, there we go. An exciting one. May basically kind of never lost the tempo from the start of the game. She took 18 damage at the start, knowing that she was going to be able to disrupt Yuki for the remainder of the game. And that takes us to May finishing round 4 as one of the undefeated players in the league, all the way down from the originating place of Flesh and Blood, New Zealand.